Our first question is, what is obedience? From the Bible verse we just read, obedience is the way we show we love God. So that means obedience is listening to an instruction, and not only listening but following the instruction. This means that disobedience is totally not following totally an instruction. What do I mean by this? When you absolutely do not obey or follow instruction, that is total disobedience. And partial disobedience is when you don't follow totally. Both partial and full disobedience are both considered disobedience. Now let's consider some consequences of disobeying God. When we disobey God, it does not only affect us, but it can affect people around us. Because in the story of Jonah, God sent the storm to punish Jonah, and the storm endangered everyone around Jonah, which was on that ship. So in order for the people on the ship to be saved, he had to be thrown into the ocean. When we disobey God, not only can it affect others, but we can lose blessings. I've seen videos of parents that would put something that the kids like in front of them, leave them alone for like 10 to 15 minutes and tell them not to touch it. And if they obey and not touch it, they get whatever is in front of them. But if they disobey and touch it, they don't get what's in front of them. They lose it. Disobedience can not only make us lose blessings, but it can make God reject us. The same way God rejected Saul. Because of this careless act of partial disobedience. Verse 22, can we go to verse 22? Let's skip to verse 22. And Solomon said, had the Lord has great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord. Behold, to obey is better than to sacrifice, and to hearken the fat of rams. This shows that God would rather us do the right thing the first time than us come back and say we're sorry. So, apart from disobedience, now let's talk about obedience. So what are the benefits of being obedient to God? When we obey God, God will reward us. This example takes place in 6th of July, Open Heavens, where our Father in the Lord said that back then, when he had just joined the church, and the account and the general superintendent asked everyone to empty out all their bank accounts for a church project. So after the project was now finished, the superintendent asked everyone in the church who actually emptied out their bank accounts. And the only ones were our Father in the Lord and his wife. So we can infer that these are one of the many hard instructions that our Father in the Lord had to obey in order to get to his current state right now. His current state of glory right now. In that same story, he concluded that when God places it in your heart to give him something, he's only setting you up for greatness. And if you obey, you'll be rejoicing later in the future. But if you disobey, you would have missed a miracle. Another story that shows how God will reward us is the story of Job. God let the devil punish Job not because God was being wicked, but he knew that Job would obey him no matter what. So we know that Job lost everything to the devil. But God, after that, since he obeyed, God blessed him with more than what he had had. The biggest reward God can give to us is being our God. And even on top of that, he's saying that good things will happen to us. So when he's our God, that means he'll be by our back through challenges. That means nothing bad can happen to us. God is going to be with us every turn, every twist. There's nothing that's going to be able to stop us. And another thing is, not only will he be our God, but we will be his people. Because some of us, when we're growing up, we just say, oh God, you're my God. right? But you don't really know God. You're not really in contact with Him. When you're in contact with Him, that means you have a relationship. That means we are His people and He's our God. Like there's an actual connection. We need to learn to obey God and His instructions. When we do, God is always going to reward us, even more than our imagination.